Live your life like a dreamer. Fly all over the world. Open yourself so the world can see. You're a beautiful pearl. Live your day like you mean it. And don't forget who you are. You're free to go anywhere. There's no distance too far. And I just can't get enough of your energy. I just can't get enough. You're the spark shining in the dark. Oh, 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 oh. Love.
Welcome to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. I'm so excited you're here. We have another fabulous show lined up for you. It Is What It Is a show with real people, real life stories, real life adversity, and how people overcome and pull through. They serve as inspirations. So we're going to get on to mitzvah time. What's a mitzvah? I know I tell you every week, and you should be telling me your mitzvahs. So mitzvah time, a mitzvah is a good deed. And I challenge all of you, I challenge you every week, but I'm going to challenge you again. I challenge you every week to do a good deed. Do a good deed every day, something little. It could be holding the door for somebody, just going out of your way, making a compliment, smiling at somebody. It could be as little as that. It could be bigger. So I'm going to share a mitzvah that my daughter just did actually last night. So she was running out with a friend of hers late last night, and she called me. She says, Mommy, I saw a black cat outside. And she loves animals. I love animals. And she came running back in. She grabbed some food, some of our cat's food, and she put it outside for the cat. And I thought that was a beautiful thing. That's a mitzvah. She's taking care of what could possibly be a homeless cat. So good job, Julia. Now, I want to announce our giveaway. We have giveaways every week, and you have to comment, like, and share in order to win. So this week is pretty fitting for the topic. It's a book about diversity. It's a book I wrote. It's called I Am. 27 children participated in the making of this book. I wrote the story, and the 27 children illustrated the story. And it's really a very touching story. I am, I'm a beautiful me. I am, I'm not what you see. And it talks about the beauty of diversity and how being different is a beautiful thing. So this is the giveaway. You need to comment, like, and share the show in order to win. Now, when we come back, you're going to meet a fabulous woman and her beautiful daughter, one of her beautiful daughters. She has two. Her name is Carrie Fowler, and her daughter's name is Haidyn. Haidyn is a young 7-year-old little girl, and she has a disease called Sanfilippo disease. It is actually childhood dementia. It's something I've never heard of. It's something I'm sure many of you have never heard of. But when we come back, you're going to learn all about Sanfilippo Syndrome. You're going to learn all about Carrie and Haidyn, and you're actually going to be able to meet Haidyn in our second segment. So don't go anywhere. Remember, comment, like, and share the show, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. I have Carrie Fowler here joining us today. Carrie, welcome to It Is What It Is.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here with you guys.
I'm thrilled you could join us. And where are you? Where do you live?
So I live in Cedartown, Georgia. It's Northwest Georgia.
Okay, so that's why
Middle of nowhere.
in the Hicks.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the Hicks. Now, you're on today to share your story about your daughter, your beautiful, beautiful daughter, Haidyn. And Haidyn has a disease. What is it called?
Haidyn has Sanfilippo Syndrome.
What exactly is Sanfilippo, if you could share with us?
Okay. Sanfilippo Syndrome is a rare and terminal genetically inherited disorder. So Haidyn inherited this from both myself and my husband unknowingly. It is a metabolic disorder, meaning that her body lacks an enzyme needed to break down large chains of sugar molecules that our body creates naturally. It has nothing to do with the sugar you eat. And because her body cannot break down these molecules, it accumulates over time, and the accumulation is toxic to the entire body. So it's basically attacking her entire body and deteriorating it, but most specifically the brain and the central nervous system.
Terrible, terrible. And Sanfilippo syndrome, from what I've learned, it's like childhood dementia, right?
Yes, it is often deemed childhood dementia or childhood Alzheimer's, and that is because the way it attacks the brain is almost identical to Alzheimer's disease.
Crazy. I mean, I work with seniors with dementia and Alzheimer's and cognitive issues and impairments. And I've never heard, I know that actually young people can get it, but I never realized children could get this, a form of this.
Same here. I had no idea that Sanfilippo syndrome existed or really anything like it. I also was ignorant in the understanding of what dementia truly was and who all it could affect aside from just the elderly. But it affects way more people than we realize.
Yeah, yeah. Now, this is kind of rare, isn't it?
Yes.
Syndrome?
Yes, there's 4 different types. Haidyn has type A. And on average, type A affects 1 in 70,000 children.
Wow. Do you think that some children go undiagnosed? Because I know that based on what I've learned about Haidyn and your family, it was tough to get the diagnosis.
Oh, absolutely. I think there are probably children all over the world that are going undiagnosed. Haidyn was diagnosed at 5. After being diagnosed with many other things, and the first being autism, because it does present as autism in the beginning. But I know other families in the Sanfilippo community that did not get a diagnosis until their children were teens or even some early 20s. While those are milder forms of the syndrome, Haidyn has progressed much quicker.
Right.
I can still only imagine how many people are out there with Sanfilippo syndrome that have not been properly diagnosed.
Absolutely. I mean, I've watched a lot of your Instagram videos, and you're very informative and you educate people. And that's why I love that you're on, because you can reach, a different population that doesn't see those, all those videos and informational clips you put out there. But what are some of the symptoms of what was it about Haidyn that made you think, like, that mama's intuition, that said, wait a minute, something is wrong?
So when Haidyn was 3, she was diagnosed with autism because as Sanfilippo syndrome first started to attack her body, It typically starts with brain damage. Well, we noticed at home a small speech delay, some sensory processing issues, developmental delays like not being able to understand discipline or consequences, not being able to understand toilet training, not being able to understand anything imaginary. It's like it wouldn't click for her. She would do things very repetitive that we did, even down to playing with a baby doll. And all that seems fitting with autism.
Right.
So, when she was 3, I was like, okay, you have autism. We'll learn the world of autism. Everything's going to be okay. But by the time she was 5, and she had been in therapy, multiple therapies for 2 years, she had also been in early intervention preschool, and she was continuing to lose more speech. She was very fearful of things that she once loved, even people that she once loved. She would just suddenly scream when she saw them. And I mean, we were like, you've known this person your whole life, whether it be somebody at church or a friend. She began having sleep disturbances. And even though we had her tonsils removed when she was 2, there's so much backstory here. But we had her tonsils removed when she was 2 because she had severe sleep apnea. The sleep apnea never went away like it does for most children, and it actually continued to worsen some. She continued to lose skills that she was once able to do, so that was alarming, and became weaker and clumsier, even with physical therapy, surgeries, procedures. And that is when I reached out to her pediatrician again and requested to see if we could meet with a geneticist just to see if there was anything else going on. But I had no idea that we were going to get the answer that we did. I was thinking it would be like a precursor to tell us more about autism, or
maybe an advanced genetically
inherited,
Exactly. Sometimes you want answers, but then you don't want to hear what the answers are.
Right.
You need to know what it is, obviously, to deal with it, but you certainly didn't. I know you didn't expect something like this. I mean, who would have thought?
No, you never expect something like this, because as you can see from my social media platforms, so many people have never heard of this, including many medical professionals. And Haidyn's pediatrician was one of those that had not heard about Sanfilippo syndrome. So she didn't know the signs to look out for.
Right. Well, you said 1 in 70,000 children.
Many will never come across a child like Haidyn in their lifetime.
Exactly. What were, you have a blog. You have a blog out there, From Autism to Fatal Genetics. So, and I read everything up on you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. And I wrote the whole timeline here, and you're right. There's a big backstory. I mean, Haidyn had a lot of medical issues from the very beginning, it seemed. When she was born, did you suspect anything or no? When did you suspect that something was off?
I think so. She was born, she did spend 10 days in the NICU. But another funny part of that is that my husband and I were both NICU babies, and all of our siblings were as well. So we were like, maybe we're just doomed to have a NICU baby,
Right. And this is your second child, right?
Yes. Okay. And my first child is extremely healthy. I mean, she doesn't even have any allergies. So to say that my children are polar opposites is an understatement.
Right.
But yes, so Haidyn was in the NICU, but she passed all the genetic screening that they did in the NICU. Okay. And I knew that she had a speech delay between 1 and 2. but we had her evaluated with the state through her daycare when I was working, and she did not meet criteria. She was not delayed enough to receive speech therapy through them. So we were like, okay, great. She will catch up eventually. I think it took me until, 6 months before the autism diagnosis that it really clicked that she was behind, because I had actually quit my full-time job to stay home, and I kept other children to kind of replace my income. And all of these children were around her age, but 2 of them were younger than her. And she was more on their cognitive level than she was the children that were the same age as her.
Right.
And my oldest, as I said, my kids are polar opposites. My oldest has always been advanced. She's always been gifted. I mean, she speaks better than me. She holds a more adult conversation than me, and she's 14 and I'm 32. So I could not compare my oldest and Haidyn.
Right.
They were just completely different. But seeing her every day in our home, interacting with other children her age and younger, that is when it finally clicked for me that, okay, there is more going on, and she is delayed, and we need to figure out answers so we can help her.
Let me ask you, facial features. I read something that said coarse facial features. What does that mean, coarse facial features?
So I had never heard that term, but coarse facial features are basically features that are more prominent than the average person has, I guess is the best way to explain that. They're very common amongst genetic conditions and syndromes, but they're also common in many people. But Haidyn's coarse facial features would be considered her very thick and dark eyebrows, which are beautiful. They're naturally beautifully shaped. She has very thick and full lips. She has prominent cheekbones, a larger head, a larger forehead. She has very thick, coarse hair. And her nose, her nasal bridge is kind of almost non-existent. It's very low.
Okay.
And prominent eyes. Usually their eyes stand out. I don't know if that means that their eyes are always bigger. My husband and I both have big eyes, so she was kind of going to have big eyes probably.
Right. She has beautiful eyes. She's absolutely going to show pictures of her throughout the show when we air this, but absolutely stunning, beautiful young lady.
She looks just like my husband. So you'll see when I say many people have coarse facial features.
Right.
I never considered her facial features to be different because she looks identical to my husband.
Right.
Like I don't even, you would think I was a surrogate by looking at me, and then looking at him and her, I just look like I just helped give her to him, but he is his
You're right. No, I've looked at all the pictures and she does. You're right. She does look a lot like your husband.
She does.
Yeah, but she's absolutely beautiful. The one thing I noticed because there are some other families that share also about their children with Sanfilippo syndrome. I've noticed that the eyebrows are very common. It's very, the thicker eyebrows and more hair on the body, I've noticed.
Yes.
So that's
it has a lot of body hair too. That's another sign, and it's all due to the buildup of the toxic accumulation that her body can't metabolize, and that leads to excess hair. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. But interestingly and sadly enough, when she was born, she was progressing. I mean, maybe a little delayed, but I think I read something where it takes time to build that up in the body. So, the children are growing, and advancing, maybe a little slower, but advancing. And then all of a sudden it's like they start deteriorating as they get older because that is building up and there is absolutely no way they can they can release that. They can get rid of whatever that is that's building up in the body that's creating all this problem. Like they've never figured out how to get rid of it.
They're working very hard. There is gene replacement therapy trials. There's enzyme replacement therapy trials. And while they have seen some benefits and some promising hope from these trials, sorry, I think Haidyn is awake now.
We're going to go for a break, so maybe when we come back.
Yeah, maybe I can have her on for a minute.
I would love it. I would love it. Go ahead, finish. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But she, or not she. So they do have many trials. The hard part is that they are not necessarily seeing breakthrough in the cognitive area, but it may be that they are helping with pain or hyperactivity or the lack of sleep, inflammation in the body, things like that. But the hard part is getting past that blood-brain barrier.
Right. Do you want to go we'll take a break.
Okay, yeah, we can, and I'll get her up and see if I can get her situated. She's not a morning person, so she may be a little sassy, but
that's all right. I like
happy to bring her on.
That's all right. So, well, we're going to be right back after this commercial break, and you are going to meet Haidyn. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Do you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home where there are healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive.
Welcome to Sunday Dinner with Chef Clemente. This is an all-new show about family cooking, Sunday dinner, things we did as a child, bringing back some memories and some tradition. This is how this dish was born. I'm going to show you that in just a couple of minutes. So, the trick with the meatballs too, when you fry them, you don't want to overcrowd the pan too much. To drizzle, not too much of olive oil, right on top of that fish. So, a little flour. A little egg, cella luna, met somebody, everybody drink some wine. Prosciutto going. Pass them around, everybody eat a little bit, come on. You gotta dance. Oh my God! Get together, go visit your mother, your sister, your cousin, bring some pastry, some food, get together, eat, drink, be happy. Who wants some linguine, clams, and pastry?
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Saville. We have Carrie and Haidyn here today with us. Welcome again, Carrie and Haidyn.
Hey, hi.
Hi, Haidyn.
Food is more important right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Food is always more important.
Yeah.
So, tell me, what is a day like in your household? What is a day like for Carrie Fowler?
Well, that was one example. There is no space. So our days, I'm a stay-at-home mom to two girls and Haidyn's full-time caregiver. So we do all of the typical mom things, but also Haidyn needs 24/7 supervision, and that is with everything. There's nothing she can do independently anymore. So whether it is feeding like this, bite by bite, because she has to take very little bites or she risks choking, bathing, keeping her safe, which is why we have a combined bedroom full of safe things and soft landing so she can't get hurt. It is all the things. I'm sweating thinking about it. Lots of, schedules with weekly we go to therapy for Haidyn. She has multiple therapies. There's medication routines and supplement schedules, keeping in contact with her medical team because things are ever changing. Yeah,
It's busy.
it's
Busy.
a lot. Yes.
Yeah. Do you ever feel overwhelmed?
Yes. I feel like, not trying to pat myself on the back, but I do feel that I channel it well most of the time. And that I do allow myself to, have a breakdown some days and scream and feel overwhelmed and cry, whatever that takes. Even if I have to step outside for 5 seconds to do that.
Yeah.
But very much so. It is very overwhelming, and I feel that I'm always dropping the ball somewhere, whether it be with her, my oldest child, my husband, or extended family and friends. I feel like I can't keep up with everybody, if that makes sense. So can be a really good mom and wife some days, but I can't be a friend that day. Oh.
Well, there's only one of you. There's only one of you, Carrie, and you can only do the best you can do. But do you ever take time for yourself? Do you ever have?
I do. It's hard. So my husband and I are fortunate to have great sets of parents. But Haidyn is very big. She's 4'5" at 7, and she weighs about 65 pounds. She's just going to play with my hair the whole time.
I love it.
And she might try to eat it, but that's okay. I can wash it later. But so she's very tall, and she is very strong despite how weak she has become, because when she's in fight or flight mode, she does not have, I guess, a level of strength that she allows herself to put out. It's just all or nothing. So we do have alone time, or I do at times, if my husband can be home with her, or if my oldest can also stay with my parents or my husband's parents to help with her, because of her needing so much and being heavy, and you've got to lift her and help her with everything.
Right.
So I do. It's just rare. And then there are times that I will turn down the option to get out because my anxiety is winning that day and I can't leave,
I get it. And you worry. I mean, who knows best? Usually mom knows best. So
right. To me, it is mentally draining sometimes to explain all of her needs or all of the things to do in certain situations or emergency situations. Right. It becomes so draining that I would rather just not do it. Even as much as I want to break, I'm like, no, I don't feel like explaining all this again,
No, I understand. Now, can Haidyn speak? Can she talk?
So Haidyn is nonverbal. She did used to be able to talk. The level of, I would say, expressive language she had was between a 2 and 3 to 2 and 4-year-old at her best years. But she lost all of her speech by age 6.
Wow.
So now she's completely nonverbal. We do hear a word occasionally, but it can be months to a year, and it'll be words like, she said dada for a while. She said mom a few months ago. We think we've heard her try to say sissy or I love you, but they're very rare. And we know that even those little words you hear occasionally will fade eventually too.
Right. What are some of her favorite foods, and why does she have, why can she choke so easily? What is the reason?
So Haydyn loves, her favorite food is chicken nuggets, specifically from Chick-fil-A. She loves any kind of French fries or potatoes. And really, she's not a picky eater. She has always been the best eater. She will eat whatever I put on her plate if she is hungry.
Right.
But the reason she chokes easily is because as Sanfilippo syndrome attacks the body, it
Oh.
I'm
There you
sorry.
are.
My
That's
phone.
okay. I was like,
I'll start that sentence.
I gotcha.
So it was my husband too. What a weirdo. I already told him what I was doing. So as Sanfilippo syndrome progresses and it begins to oh my gosh. Okay.
That's okay. Don't worry.
I have to edit this part out. He just called again.
That's okay.
Okay. I guess he's probably like, she's done. She's probably done. And she
Right.
forgot. All right, let's try this again. So, as Sanfilippo syndrome progresses and as it deteriorates the body, it begins to deteriorate the airway, the esophagus, the ability to swallow correctly. So, because Haydyn is struggling with swallowing certain foods, this is why you see me feeding her tiny little bites like a baby, one at a time, because not only does she risk swallowing it and it not going down the right tube, and then that leads to aspiration, she also forgets to chew her food at times, and that leads to choking and aspiration as well. She's actually getting a feeding tube or a G tube through her stomach on July 20th.
Oh, wow. Wow. Now, with this feeding tube, is that something that she might try to pull out, or they make it so that she can't really access it?
So I'm not very familiar with G-tube life yet, but I will be soon. But from my understanding, hers will have a button, is what her GI doctor calls it. I'm sorry, I'm not feeding you fast enough. So hers will be able to remove. I know, hurry up, Mom. Hers will have a way you can remove the tube, so she won't be, hooked to tubes all the time when you're not feeding her.
Right.
And you can close it up with a button. So we do worry about her. This is
I love it.
Every day, pulling my hair, grabbing me. What? Are you gonna get mad? Oh, don't cry. Don't cry. I'm sorry. I'll try to feed you faster.
Mommy's gonna feed you.
I know, you're grumpy. But look, you're getting it all in your mouth. You don't have any stored for later anywhere. Oh, don't cry. Hold on. Let me see if she'll sip up her drink. Here, you want? Oh, well. Okay. Sorry, my husband called again. Haydyn's yelling at me.
So this is your life. This is
my life. It is chaos all of the time. Somebody needs me somewhere, or somebody's yelling at me for something.
Right.
But with the G-tube, we do worry, even though we will be able to remove the feeding tube when she's not taking feeds, we do worry that she will notice it and mess with it. But fortunately, with Haydyn, if we can keep it out of sight, it will be out of mind.
Right.
We do have some covers. They're like bandages or stickers that somebody from Instagram actually sent us to try.
Wow.
And they're cute. They have little patterns on them. So we can place that over. Oh, okay. Oh, you took the straw. Let's take a break. Thank you.
Oh. So the feeding tube, how does she not touch it? Are you worried that she's going to try and rip it out?
We are worried that she will mess with it. Fortunately, hers is going to be what they call a button. We'll be able to remove the actual tube when she is not taking feeds and close it up. We also received from an Instagram follower, some really cute bandages. They're G-tube covers that we can put over the port or the tube button, and they have super cute patterns on them. So we're going to try those, and then we are probably going to either use like an ace bandage of some sort to wrap around her, or a very tight fitted tank top underneath her outfit, just to kind of start off keeping it out of sight, because fortunately for Haidyn, if we can keep it out of sight, it'll probably be out of mind.
Absolutely. You know, something I noticed in the videos, she walks on her tippy toes. Is this a common trait, a common thing that children do with Sanfilippo syndrome?
Yes, and that was actually one of the things that was also fitting with autism, was tiptoe walking. But with autism, it's usually sensory based, from sensory processing issues. And while I believe she did have some sensory issues with her feet, it is mainly because of muscle contractures or muscles tightening in her legs. So her Achilles tendon, specifically in her right leg, which is her most severely affected leg, she cannot stretch out that tendon and place that foot flat on the ground anymore because of the muscles tightening and deteriorating.
And therapy to stretch it out and move it, it's just not enough, huh?
Right. She's in physical therapy for the tiptoe walking. Let's see, about 4 years now. So well before the Sanfilippo diagnosis. Although we may not have been treating it for the exact same thing because we were looking at sensory issues and autism, but she was still doing all of the stretching and the exercises. And that was another thing that continued to get worse. We saw a little bit of progress. She was walking flatter for a while when she was younger, and then it got worse again because the muscles continued to tighten.
What is it like? I can't even begin to, I'm a mother, and I cannot begin to imagine what you are going through. You and your husband and your other daughter are going through, watching your daughter deteriorate. It's a terminal illness. Does she have, I know it's a hard question and I hate these hard questions. You said you're good with anything.
I'm good with anything.
Thank you. And I love how, open you are, because it really helps other people understand and appreciate. And if their child is going through this also, it's great to share this information. But what is her life expectancy? Any idea?
The average life expectancy for children with Sanfilippo syndrome type A, like Haidyn has, is, they say, between 12 and 20, or on average mid to late teens. There are some that pass much younger. There was actually a young boy yesterday that was only 12 that passed away.
Wow.
And then there are some that live into adulthood that have mild or attenuated forms of the syndrome. But yes, Haidyn is a more severe case. I hope that we could be wrong about that. But typically life expectancy is mid to late teens.
Right. Wow. It is really heartbreaking, but I know that you're giving her all the love in the world. She's giving you all the love in the world. And, you just got to keep going. Just keep going, right?
That's all we can do. We try to get her the most memories and adventures and love and everything we can, quality of life, for as long as we can. That's all you can do. I know everybody says I can't imagine, and I don't even know what to say to that, because I couldn't imagine. You never think it's going to be you or your child, but you still have to get up every single day and be a mom and be a wife, and she needs me to be the best version of me and to be happy.
Yes, exactly. You got to, you do what you have to do. Well, we're going to take a little break.
Okay.
So nobody, don't go anywhere. We will be right back with Carrie.
She makes no promises.
We'll be right back.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007. Do you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home where there are healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling.
It's musical. It's magical.
This is a sexy show. Someone's getting some action.
Now, these larger-than-life personalities are on an exciting new journey. The Suki and Scott Show is your one-stop destination for humor,
You like De Niro and Cape Fear. Counselor!
entertainment,
Jesse's girl.
Wonderful.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
and optimism.
You guys have such amazing energy.
Let's laugh together.
I love him.
The Suki and Scott Show.
All right. Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. We have Carrie and Haidyn here with us today. And Carrie and Haidyn, welcome back. And Haidyn, are you okay?
She's like, I don't know. My mom took my drink away because I was trying to chug it.
Yeah. So Haidyn has, I'm sorry, Haidyn, I'm combining your names, Carrie and Haidyn.
That's okay.
Haidyn has something called absence seizures, I learned.
Yes.
What is an absence seizure? What happens to Haidyn?
So an absence seizure looks like a staring spell. The only difference, and Haidyn does have staring spells where she is seemingly zoned out, kind of lost for a little bit.
Right.
The difference between an absence seizure and a staring spell is that I can snap her out of being zoned out, or, she can respond to her name, my touch, my voice. During an absence seizure, there is no snapping her out of that.
Right.
But fortunately, they do not cause her any pain. She has no idea that they happened, and many of them last 5 to 10 seconds. Some are a few minutes, but for the most part, they're very, very short.
Okay. So it doesn't do any damage.
Well, that's the downfall, is it doesn't cause her any pain or discomfort. They're not as scary to witness seizure as like a tonic-clonic seizure or, a convulsive seizure, but they can still cause brain damage. So she is still on medication that treats specifically the absent seizures because they can still cause damage to the brain.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, actually, medical marijuana, is that something that is helpful in this situation? And it's something you can use with a child?
It is if you live in the right area.
Okay.
Where we live in Georgia, it is not legal. Medical marijuana is legal to an extent in Georgia, but it is basically the low THC oil, I believe. And I forget the percentage, but it's a very, very small amount of THC. And we have tried it. We have tried CBD with the legal amount in Georgia of THC in it. We've tried Delta 8. We've tried anything that we can legally obtain. And while they do help, I don't believe that it is strong enough. I think she would benefit greatly from pure THC. And many parents that do live in states where they can get this for their children do see major benefit from it for children like Haidyn.
Crazy question, but have you thought about moving? Possibly? And crazy
My
question.
husband and I joke about it all the time. My cousin actually just left yesterday to move to Colorado, and I'm like, hey, you forgot us. The downfall, we would love to move out west regardless, but the downfall is Haidyn has a huge team of specialists here. I mean, pretty much every type of specialist. And we have family that, even though, you know, they don't necessarily help watch Haidyn all the time anymore, not by their choice, but by ours for everybody's safety, they do help with so much, whether it be just being there for us, helping with my oldest, like getting her to and from, dropping off dinner, emotional support, just coming over.
So important.
Yeah, so it would be really hard, and it would be really hard on her, I think, because it would throw her world upside down if we tried to move, because she would have no idea, like her everyday normal that she does depend on to understand where she is and what's going on around her, that would change.
Sure.
And I wouldn't want to put her through that and create a quicker regression with her syndrome. So
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Let me ask you another thing. Dystoria, am I saying that right? Dystoria?
Dystonia, are you
dystonia,
like the movement disorder? Yes.
What is that? Because from what I learned, and I don't know much about it, but it's very painful also.
Yes. So dystonia is characterized as a form or type of movement disorder. It is typically where the muscles can twist or conform and contort in ways that they should not. And it can be very painful. Haidyn, fortunately, does not suffer from it horribly yet. I know some children with Sanfilippo that can have dystonia episodes for hours, and their parents can witness their bodies moving in ways that they should not, and it is extremely painful and takes hours or days to recover from. Haidyn, fortunately, when hers does present, it usually is in one of her eyes. One of her eyes will look like a lazy eye, and it will completely drift all the way over. And there are times I do think that there are dystonia episodes with her body where she's really tight, or like her severe leg. It's almost as if she's rolling her ankle to walk on it, and there's nothing she can do, and she's constantly falling. And she'll be mad because she's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Now, what about staying up for days? I mean, she can stay awake for days. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think she would get exhausted.
And she does. She will be very exhausted. So again, as Sanfilippo syndrome progresses, and when specifically the brain deteriorates, damage begins to happen to the brain stem. So I had to think about the part of the brain that we're talking about. The brain stem, which controls your sleep-wake cycle. And because of that damage, her internal clock can become mixed up. She can experience sundowning like you would see with a dementia or Alzheimer's patient. She can become very agitated, fearful as the sun goes down, or sometimes it happens before that or later. Or you can tell that her nights and days are mixed up, whereas she'll be lethargic, tired, barely hanging on all day. And then 10 o'clock rolls around and girlfriend is ready to party. And I mean, like manic, happy, hollering, laughing. And I'm thankful for the happiness, but I'm like, oh, we're not on the right schedule again.
Right.
So because of that damage, her entire sleep-wake cycle is crazy, and there is no proven remedy or medication to help this. There are many children on sleep medications with Sanfilippo, and while it helps, they still pull all-nighters, sometimes for days. It may be rare, but it still happens. Haidyn is not on sleep medications because everyone we have tried has ended up, even if it worked for a few weeks, it ends up causing adverse reactions that are not worth it, or it causes her to sleep even less, and she has been angry and miserable. So
Right.
I'll take happy and lack of sleep over misery.
Absolutely. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm watching the two of you, and I love
Oh, yeah, she's always pulling at me. That's why I usually have like an Apple Watch or something on. But if I have anything she can hold on to, I'm vulnerable, I am weak, and she'll drag me with her. So I hardly ever wear jewelry anymore, or
right.
you're dressed beautiful and I'm in a t-shirt, because this girl, she knows when I'm vulnerable.
No, she's beautiful. I want to ask you, you posted something recently. I mean, the whole Roe versus Wade, has come up and has created quite a stir, throughout the United States. And you posted something very powerful. I would love for you to share that with us and share your thoughts with us.
So it gives me chill bumps. I may cry while I say I was 100% pro-life or pro-birth, whatever you want to call it, before Haidyn. I had my oldest daughter at barely 18 as I graduated high school, and abortion was never an option for me with her. I just knew we would be okay. I could raise a baby. I had no idea how, but we were going to be okay. And thank God I had supportive family and friends at a young age, because it could have been very different had I been completely on my own.
Right.
Fast forward a bunch of years and a bunch of struggles later, I meet my now husband, and we have Haidyn, and we both carried fatal genetics we didn't know, and she inherited it. But not only that, we didn't find out because they didn't test for Sanfilippo Syndrome during pregnancy or at birth. You can request testing if you even know to request or that Sanfilippo Syndrome exists.
Right.
But without a known family history, it is unlikely insurance will pay for that. And it costed us $6,000 for her genetic testing because insurance deemed it experimental at the time.
Wow.
And clearly, it was not experimental.
No.
We got major answers. So, and after we've talked about all things Sanfilippo, it is a terminal illness. And while I show really nothing of the pain and suffering and misery that Haidyn goes through, I talk about it, but there are still so many parts of our life I will never put on a public platform.
Right.
Because it is hard and it will make people uncomfortable in ways that they cannot imagine.
Sure.
So all that to say, I quickly changed my heart in the matter of being pro-choice, and I am sad that it took me experience to open my mind and open my heart to other struggles. But that is usually what it takes for a lot of people. If you were raised to believe a certain way and you had not ever experienced anything other than a fairly easy life, you know?
That's very true.
And as a mother, I could not bring another child into this world to suffer like she does. And I don't ask that people agree with me or understand. I hope that they never have to. Right. But I think as a mother, that is something I couldn't do, because I also have a husband and my oldest that depend on me. Should Haidyn live for years to come, I have her to depend on me, and they need the best of me. And I don't think that I could be the best of me and give to another child with Sanfilippo syndrome. I could be wrong.
Understood.
But it affects my entire family. You know, my oldest is losing a little sister that she was supposed to grow old with. My husband has had extreme mental health struggles since Haidyn's diagnosis. And if you know my husband, he is the most selfless, toughest man. I mean, he just looks like a good old country boy, and everybody thinks he's intimidating, and he's a giant teddy bear. But to see him hurt like I have, I don't think I could watch that again. You know, it's so much more than just baby. It affects everybody.
Yeah. No, it sure does. Absolutely.
And mainly it affects her, and I wouldn't wish what she goes through on even my worst enemy. It's not fair. She doesn't deserve that. And let me add, I do not regret having her. I have no idea what I would have chosen to do had I known when I was pregnant with her that she had Sanfilippo syndrome, because I also at that time would have not experienced having a child with Sanfilippo syndrome or a disability, a terminal illness, any of that. So I couldn't speak even then from experience. And I'm thankful for every single moment with her. But as much joy as she brings to this world, and how much she teaches people without words, and how much she brightens others' days, she shouldn't have to suffer just to change the world, you know?
Yeah. You know what? Beautiful way to end this. Beautifully stated. I can't begin to thank you enough, both of you, for being on my show today. That's right, Haidyn.
Yeah, she's adding in her final thought.
I love it. I love it. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with my final thought. Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. I am here with my final thoughts. First, I want to apologize for any sort of choppiness. It was a little difficult with the remote recording, so thank you for your patience and sticking with us. It was a phenomenal episode, phenomenal ladies. So my final thoughts. Carrie and Haidyn deliver a very powerful message. You know, love can get you through anything. No matter how difficult life is, no matter what life presents, you can get through it. And you know, sometimes when you feel sorry for yourself, just look around. Look around. There's somebody with unfortunately a worse situation. So put it all into perspective, own it, and just keep moving forward. It is what it is. So thank you for joining us. I hope to see you next week. Remember, comment, like, and share if you want to win this fabulous book. Here I am, and I will see you next week. Thanks for joining in. Have a good one.
Live your life like a dreamer. Fly all over the world. Open yourself so